Content strategy, value, 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 value. How many times have you heard about this? How many times have you researched what is a good content strategy? What do I do? What is this miracle value these people are telling me about? Well, I'm going to demystify the whole thing for you and show you our entire content strategy process. Let's dive into it. Hey everyone, my name is Gregory Elfrink. I am the Director of Marketing at Empire Flippers, where we help people just like you buy and sell an online business literally every single day of the week. This year we have sold literally one business pretty much for every day, every business day of the year that has happened so far. So that's amazing. So that my opening line is a very true line, as it turns out. But today I want to share something that I think is fun. I think it's interesting because I've read a lot of business books, a lot of content marketing books, and the common theme is add value. You need a strategy, cohesive content strategy. And it's very rare that they ever talk about what that means. It's a good buzzword, gets you on a stage and lets you speak, I guess. Well, it hasn't helped me at least. I haven't been able to speak on stage with just the value buzzwords, but it has helped other people. And that might leave you wondering, well, what is this? How do I actually build a solid content marketing strategy? So that's what we're going to dive into. I'm going to give you the high level principles as well as a bit of the work process. So the work process stuff, we actually use a CRM, or not CRM, a project management tool called Monday.com, but you can pretty much replicate everything I'm talking about on Monday.com and really any kind of project management system. In fact, I think there's probably better project management systems at this point than Monday.com, but you know, the devil you know, it's a real painful process to switch. I recommend looking at Asana and ClickUp as well. Those could be good solutions for you when we get to that section. But let's dive in to the first part, content marketing strategy. Now, the point of content marketing is, of course, to drive traffic to us to buy something, or whether it's our service, our product, whatever, right? And that's what we're trying to do. And the reason why we're doing content instead of paid ads is because we want free traffic, right? We want to get as much people coming to us as possible for absolutely for free, get us away from the high cost LinkedIn and Facebook and YouTube ads, and get us into that free, sweet, sweet, sweet traffic. So in order to do this, we need a plan. So there's 3 parts in a marketing funnel. And I know you probably already know this, but we have to go over it to describe how content really works, because most people in most books and most speeches leave a content plan at the first step. And you can feel, well, cool, I understand how to take the first step, but what about the other like 100 steps I have to do? What do I do there? Where's the roadmap, right? Most people who teach this stuff stop right there at that first step. So the very first step is asking the step, I guess they stop at a step and a half or maybe step 2, because I'm going to break this up in 2 steps. Don't worry, we're getting there. So step 1 is creating the plan. Step 1 is creating the overview of the goals. What is your primary goal? So for us at Empire Flippers, we just, we're almost done, almost completed with a content campaign called Season of the Seller, where we're trying to get the word out about Amazon FBA sellers able to sell their businesses for the highest amount we've ever seen. In the last 5 years of my experience at Empire Flippers, I've never seen such a great time to sell an Amazon FBA business. Link down below if that's you, by the way. But anyhow, make this video profitable for me, right? And so that's what we're trying to do in our content strategies, get the word out. But not just that, but get out the word that we can actually help these sellers sell for more than if they went private. And that's a very big theme of the content strategy. So just like any good book, what is the theme of your content strategy? What is the story you're ultimately trying to tell? For us, we're trying to tell, there's never been a better time to sell, and it's never been a better time to use a broker, because the competition has heated up so much that if you go private, you're not going to be able to tap into that frenzied competition. Therefore, you're going to most likely lose money, right? Because you're going to sell for much less than what it's worth. So those are the themes of our content strategy. Now we need to break it down into what kind of content exists in that theme. What kind of content can we talk about in that theme? But very importantly, before we go too deep into that, we have to go into step 2. So at the very tail end of step 1, get with your content team, create the theme of the strategy, and then brainstorm topics and ideas that you think fit that theme that would help with that. And try to have your content team, especially if they're in-house, come up with these ideas themselves so you're not overloaded. I used to do this all the time. I slowly have stepped away from that to where I let my content team have the freedom within the theme that I've given them to create the content. So moving into away from the brainstorming section, once we have a few ideas, we got to move to step 1. Now, this is where I talk about the marketing funnel. So remember, top, middle, bottom. Most people teaching about content marketing strategy, they are going to stop right around the top somewhere. They very rarely get to the middle and almost never get to the bottom. And most of the time that's actually okay, because most people's marketing funnel can be quite simple. If you look at an affiliate site, for example, they basically have a one-stage funnel typically. SEO traffic comes to an article, they buy or they don't buy. That's it, right? You don't need to complicate it any further. Now you can, if you want to go bigger, hint, look at my media buying series that is coming out, or my media empire series rather, that will be coming out here shortly, or maybe it's already out. But you don't need a complex funnel for most businesses. But the more complex your business is, the more complex funnel that you will probably need to have. For us, we have an extremely complex funnel. So we need content working on more levels than just the top level. So we have to design content for each level. And that's where step 2 comes in, which how are we going to get that traffic? So step 1, or top of funnel content, is all about driving that traffic. What can we do to drive that traffic? We'll go take the brainstorm ideas, put them into Ahrefs, see if there's any keywords related to it. We'll go on Quora, we'll look at Reddit, are people talking about this subject at all? The Facebook groups that we're in that are related to the subject matter, are people speaking about this at all? What are they talking about? And are those questions keywords, right? So we're trying to compile all of these ideas using our initial brainstorm list that we had to see what kind of topics are in the ecosystem already. Now, just because there is a topic you want to talk about you don't find in the ecosystem doesn't mean it's not a good topic. You might be the first one to kind of bring this to people's attention. The ecosystem might reward you greatly for doing that. So keep that in mind too. If you don't find something related to your brainstorming topic, that doesn't mean it's not a good idea, even if there's no keyword traffic about that. So the article might have 0 SEO value, which I'll get into how to use those in the next step. But just keep that in mind. So what we're doing, we create this whole list, different articles, different topics, and different ideas that meet that theme, the initial theme and our goal, right? Because there's the theme, then the CTA, what we want them to do. Obviously for us, very simple. We want you to sell your business with us, right? So once we have all those topics into a spreadsheet, you might think, okay, well now you're going to go tell me to write a brief. And you are right, but not yet. So now what we do is we move to step 3. And step 3 is where we take all that top of funnel content and we ask ourselves, what is the intent of this person searching this, right? If we are, like, let's say an SEO article, how to increase Amazon FBA sales, what can we tell about that person? Well, we know that they are interested in Amazon FBA. We know that they might already have an Amazon FBA business. They probably aren't like super veteran though, because like a veteran FBA owner probably isn't searching that term. So they are most likely going to be starting out for the most part, or maybe they haven't even started yet. They're just trying to get enough information to like know what to do next before they spend a bunch of money on inventory, right? So what we could do in an article like that, based off that intent, we can say, okay, well, maybe this isn't even a seller opportunity because they're too early in the process. But just because someone's early in the process doesn't mean we can't still benefit in a sense. So we can say, for this article specifically, the CTA isn't going to be for them to sell their business with us. The CTA is going to be a old switcheroo, like, hey, this sounds super complex, no problem. If you haven't started your Amazon FBA business, you can cut through and take the shortcut by just buying an Amazon FBA business is already making money because we sell them, right? So that is one way we can look at that intent. But what we're really trying to do is picture the full funnel. So we get the cold traffic come in, we want to know what mindset they're in and what kind of mindset should they leave with after reading this article. Now, an article about increasing Amazon FBA sales isn't necessarily an article that's really going to push hard for that person to buy or sell a business. It's not part of the core intent. It could happen, so we do include a CTA in there, but it's not the core intent. So what happens after that? Where are they after that? And that's where step 3 comes in with a middle piece of content. Like the real goal over here is just to get them on our retarget pixel or to get them into our email list. This second piece is the mid of funnel nurturing content. In this piece, we might talk about how building a business like you're going to sell it makes it far more effective, right? No real keyword value in this article, most likely. Like we would still look to see if there is any keyword value, but it's most likely this article is not going to give us any SEO traffic. Now, this article is still broad enough that we can get cold traffic still via social. Like say the article went viral, people are sharing it, all that kind of good stuff. So middle of funnel content can work very well to drive cold traffic still to you because it's still like not deep enough in your funnel where people feel like they can share it and it has some virality. That doesn't usually happen with bottom of funnel content because bottom of funnel content is super specific to your own business. So again, that middle piece of content might be why building a business that you're going to sell it means you're going to build a better business. That can nurture them into one, trusting us as an expert when it comes to valuations, right? And how this whole process works. And it gets them aspirational, thinking more and more, oh yeah, of course I want to build a powerful, big business. So of course I want to sell it, right? Like if you're saying like, this is the best way to build a big business, that's the way I'm going to build my business, right? And so it puts them in that frame. And now, of course, in the article, that's true. I stand by that saying like, if you do build a business to sell, even if you don't sell, you're probably going to have a cleaner business just because of the optimization that you did, right? So anyhow, so what ends up happening here, maybe they have a pretty big business or a somewhat of a decent sized business, not huge, maybe it's like a $200,000 Amazon FBA business, right? So they go through that article, then they hit the bottom of funnel content. And this is the next step in our whole content marketing system. Well, what's the next logical step here? We can hit them with an article of a case study of an Amazon FBA entrepreneur. Very specific, same business model. And if we were able to collect data from them, say through our valuation tool, where we know that, oh, they actually do have an FBA business is worth $200,000, let's send them case studies specifically in that price range. So they get relevant content that's not only aspirational, but they can see themselves doing it because that person, that customer, is only a degree different than they are. The only difference between that entrepreneur and them, at least according to our data, is one of them had sold their business with us. And this is where that conversion can really happen, is that bottom of funnel piece. So this is what I mean. Content lives at every stage of the funnel, but most people, they only talk about that first stage of that top of funnel. So that's the process. You need to come up with a brainstorm list of content. Then you need to come up with the cold traffic, step 1, top of funnel content, what's going to drive new traffic to you. Then come up with middle of funnel content, which usually won't have any SEO value, but can still have some social virality, so it could still bring new people to you. And 3, you need to have some bottom of funnel content. Now, in the terms of priority, of which one do you create first, you might be thinking, I need to create top of funnel content first. That is a mistake because top of funnel content is so broad, it's infinite. You can have an infinite number of stuff that could be related to top of funnel content. But usually in most companies, you're going to have a finite amount of things to really write about and write home about at the bottom of the funnel. And that is powerful. You want that stuff made from day one. And then make the middle of funnel and then start making the top of funnel stuff. That's the way it works because top of funnel stuff is going to be often the most removed from what you do and thus the most broad of what you can write about, versus bottom of funnel content is going to be the most narrow, specific, high converting copy that you need anyways. You need this anyhow to make the deal happen, right? To get the sales process started or ended or finished or whatever, right? So always start with bottom of funnel content. So there you go, top, middle, bottom, and the actual process of how we do this. So I recommend starting with a content medium you are most comfortable with. So for us, the content medium we are most comfortable with is blogging and podcasts. Now I'm on video and I'm very uncomfortable here. You're probably not even here according to my retention report. But anyhow, I get shy on video. But we are branching into video, but we didn't start that way. We started almost 100% as a blog. We wrote blogs, we wrote articles, we wrote case studies. My whole team, when someone joins the team, that's where they're starting as a content creator on the blog. Now we have podcasts, our content team has gone into podcasts, and that's something we're very familiar with. And over time, other people on my team is going to do video too. But the core of this message is start with what you're already good at or what you believe you are most comfortable with. Get that medium, go start creating the content. So how do you actually create this content if you have the team? Like if you're the strategist, how do you actually create a system here that works? So the first step is creating briefs. Now, brief can be as small as you need or as big as you need. The key element of a brief is that it should be like probably no more than 1 page, to be honest. Like even half a page might be a bit long for a lot of briefs, but the key element of a brief is that you give the writer an idea of what they need to be writing about, but you also give them all the resources that they need. So ideally, they don't have to do any research. You want the writer focus, or the content creator, whatever medium you chose, to be focused on their chosen craft of actually creating the content, not researching the content. Writers and content creators aren't always the best researchers, even though they can be fantastic content creators. So help them step into their power by doing the research for them, giving them the resources that they need to read to help them create that content, whatever that might be. Now, after that is done, you don't want them creating content just yet, especially if they're a new content creator, because they might not really know what they're doing yet. They might not be familiar enough with the topic to sound natural or to progress on the topic in a natural kind of way. And you want it to be flowing. So a good hack here to get around this is what I call an outline. I know, very groundbreaking term, but basically an outline, all it is it covers all the subheaders of the article that they're going to be talking about and a few brief bullet points. Similar to the brief, this could be maybe 2 to 3 pages, but shouldn't be longer than that. It really should all fit still on 1 page, to be honest. It should be very, very brief outline. From there, you as the content strategist can review that and say, hey, I think you need to put this part over here, or this part down here, or cross this part out, or this part I'm confused on. What are you thinking about here? And this is the reason why you do it, to get a vibe of where the content specialist is going to create that content. Where are they taking this content, and making sure you can steer that ship in the correct way with their own creative fuel, right? Before they create the actual content. Because if they just wrote the blog article without this outline and they went in a totally different direction, this has actually happened to us, well, guess what they get to do? They get to rewrite a 3,000 word article instead of like, a 500 word outline. And guess which one's more difficult? They definitely don't like that when that happens. And that's what the outline system is there to help both them create stronger content and to make sure you are getting what you need to hit the themes of your content strategy. So once that is done, once the outline is approved, there is an optional step in the process. And this is what I call a working outline. I know, I'm fantastic with groundbreaking names. A working outline is optional because the content strategist, who's like orchestrating the symphony of content creators, don't need to look at it. This is purely a tool for the writer themselves. So what it is basically the same thing as the brief outline they gave the content strategist, only is much more detailed. Like there could be entire bullet points that is a paragraph, right? Where like you're writing notes and suddenly you find yourself writing in complete sentences. You're like, well, this is really, really good. And then the next one is a brief bullet point again, or whatever. It's a lot more hodgepodge all over the place. But why this helps the writer is it allows them to gather their thoughts and construct both the logical argument that they're trying to make, but also the emotional argument. You'll notice that when they are writing like the non-brief bullet points, usually those are very, very emphasized, emotionally driven points that really bring home the message, and they can use that at a later date. And how they actually use the working outline is when they start writing. They can take like a Google Doc here. We use Google Docs, but this works with anything. We take the Google Doc of the working outline, copy and paste the first section, so the first section of the article, the intro or the second header, wherever you are in the article, and copy and paste just that brief part over into a second Google Doc where you're planning on writing. One of the big issues writers have, and content creators in general, is the fear of the blank page. If you already have a working outline, you already brainstormed this with your content strategist, and then you copy and paste a chunk of your roadmap of what you're trying to do into a new Google Doc, well, guess what? You're not starting with a blank page. You're starting with a very clear outline of the road ahead. And this speeds up writing dramatically. Like it sounds like it would be counterintuitive, right? Because if you just write a blog post, won't it be much faster? But no, this is way, way, way faster. Trust me, I can write about 2,000 to 5,000 words a day pretty easily if I had to. With a working outline, I can easily get to 8,000 to 10,000 words. And I've even gone as far as 15,000 words a day thanks to a working outline. It's very, very important because it gives you a roadmap that is unbroken. It gives you an ability to just go down the road and follow this track. So as you're writing the article, or as your writer's writing the article, they are able to see their outline at the bottom of their screen at all times as they're writing. They'll delete the bullet points as they cover them. Every so often they'll stop writing, delete that chunk, and keep going. And once the whole chunk is deleted, go back to the working outline, copy and paste that into your doc again. There you go. This is a huge hack for speed and productivity. Again, it doesn't sound like it. It sounds like it's more work, right? But it'll actually speed you up dramatically once you get used to the system. Your output will probably be increased by 2x, whether you're creating the content or your content creator is doing it. So I highly recommend it, but it is optional. You don't need to do it, especially for content creators that are very familiar with the subject. A brief outline will probably do them just as well. But for people starting out especially, highly recommend the working outline. Okay. So once this is done, that writer or the creator gives it to the content strategist or content manager, the finished rough draft of the article or the content. They view it, make sure it looks good. They add in any of their thoughtful critiques, which you don't want a grammatical editor doing this, by the way, because they won't know what the hell you're talking about, right? We've had editors before where they're like, are you sure your audience will know what an affiliate site is? You're like, well, of course they're gonna know. But these are the kind of questions editors have to ask because they just don't know the content, right? They're not asking to be facetious or anything. They just don't know if your audience knows, right? It's a fair question. But you as the content manager should know what your audience knows ideally, and you can get around those kind of issues. And also you know how to word things correctly, right? So if I gave my article to an editor that's used to editing academic essays and they saw my blog post at Empire Flippers, like, oh, this is way too informal. But that's what makes our audience tick, is that informal, business casual, more friendly blogger tone. So we want to ensure that is all there as our content strategist and make sure everything came out fine. Like the points of contention during the outline, definitely check those points as they're explained in the actual blog post to make sure that the right information is getting through. And once that's all done, the content specialist creates a second draft based off of your notes, or maybe it's clean enough that you just move to the next part, which is use an actual grammar editor. Because the grammar editor, they will still ask you those questions like, are you sure your audience knows what an affiliate site is, or what's FBA? They're going to ask you that question, but they will also ask you that question on words you didn't think about that your audience might really not know. For example, I use the word P&L all the time. It stands for profit and loss. It's a very important concept for business owners. But some business owners don't actually know what that abbreviation means, even though they're running a successful business, which is crazy because you think that would be a very important core thing to know. But I've ran into entrepreneurs who ask me, can you explain what a P&L is? Like, oh yeah, sure, of course, I forgot. And this helps you get out of the rote of being so grounded inside of your own niche in terms of your specific company that you forget what other people in your niche may or may not know. So this is still some benefit of using that grammar editor, plus it helps you avoid some embarrassing mistakes. But do note, even if you do use a grammar editor, there's still going to be mistakes. In order to get rid of like 97% of typos or grammatical errors in a novel, for instance, is usually 3 to 4 editing passes. We use 1 editing pass because the internet, especially in our niche, is very forgiving on this kind of stuff. If you have a typo here and there, or a mixed grammar issue or whatever, it's going to be fine, right? Like I can barely even talk and people are watching this. Not according to my retention report, but in my imagination, people are watching this video, and it's fine, right? As long as you're offering value, that's what's important. So there you go. The grammar editors give it back to you, you clear out all their edits, and then you give it to a blog formatter or whoever your uploader is, maybe it's you, and you go and upload it and publish it. And that's it. That's the content strategy production system. Now, with that production system also needs to be a distribution system. And that's why we talked about the top of funnel content. Top of funnel should become your main distribution center, distribution channel rather, over time through the SEO that you perform. Or if you're a whiz at social media, make that your distribution channel. Whatever distribution channel, marketing channel, whatever you want to call it, that you feel most comfortable in, whether that is TikTok videos, YouTube shorts, or traditional SEO like it was for us, you can take this content strategy and just morph everything to that. If you understand what gets that cold traffic working for you on TikTok, well, go and create top of funnel content that works for the TikTok platform, right? So you always want to create content like that, thinking here's the content that's going to be getting me the traffic, here's the content that's going to get them to like me and view me as an expert, and here's finally the content that really talks about my service, that bottom of funnel content, which usually is going to be like testimonials and case studies, things like that, right? So there you have it. There's a content strategy. There's how to get the value. Again, come up with the themes and then work within that rigid framework of the theme. So each piece of your content isn't living alone on an island, but rather working holistically together. Hope you guys enjoyed this content marketing strategy. If you did, please leave a like and a comment down below and help out my retention report by watching this video 5 times. You can put it on silent. I don't mind. Talk to you later. Bye.